Some people say that museums are boring old buildings, full of echoing corridors and musty-smelling rooms, where grey men in specs stare at dead things in cases. Well, maybe they've got a point. But then, there's something about old things that fascinates us. When we gaze into the eyes of some long-dead creature, for instance, it's like, for a moment at least, time stops, and the unremembered past shows itself, beckons, and almost speaks. Dead things don't have to be ugly or dull. The insects here at Liverpool Museum have been dead, many of them, for decades, but to look at, they might still be alive, they're so vibrant and full of colour. There are thousands and thousands of insects here at the museum, all lined up in their cases, frozen in death like antique toys. But how do they get this way? What mystic wizard casts his spell to stop them in their tracks? Well, meet Carl Klee, the Merlin of the museum.
I've been coming in here, 23 years now, twice a week. When I retired, it gave me a new career.
Like all wizards, Carl's a master of poisons and potions.
I use laurel, which is cherry laurel. The young leaves chopped up. Basically, they contain prussic acid, which releases cyanide. We put a layer of laurel at the bottom, then a disc of blotting paper, and that absorbs any moisture and stops fungal growth on the specimen. In laurel, they'll keep up to 2-3 years.
Now, having paralysed his victims, he has the tools to keep them in his thrall forever.
All these bees, wasps and ants, they have a very hard exoskeleton. So they're all pinned through the thorax. So we use micro pins, and depending on the size of the actual insect, governs the size of the pin. So tiny insects will use a very fine micro pin. Once it's pinned, you arrange the wings, you arrange the legs, and on some species you open the mandibles so you can see the teeth on the mandibles. It does take a lot of concentration and manual dexterity to actually manoeuvre the insect parts to the right position.
Pierced through the heart and pinned in its place, each insect joins its comrades in the collection, held forever in eternal limbo.
The average drawer holds about 300 specimens, so I can pin and set quite rapidly. Actually, pinning a set, I can probably get through about 100 to 150 specimens a day.
Okay, so maybe it's not magic. There's no abracadabra, no wizard waving a magic wand. It's just a man with a microscope, a tiny pair of tweezers, and an awful lot of patience. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Carl's not a magician, but he's got something anyway. He's got the desire, and the skill, and the patience to make amazing things happen. Like all the boring old men and women at the museum, he's someone who's mastered his craft. Taking their time, day after day, year after year, together they've created something extraordinary, something valuable, and something that'll still be around to be marvelled at long after the creepy Crawlies have had their revenge on us.